How do you write compelling copy? Before I answer that, let me just explain what copy is for those of you who don't know. Copy are the words that appear about your business, or the words that you speak if you were creating a script. So when you see an ad, the words that are either on the picture or in the body of the post, that's copy. When you go to somebody's website and you read the words on their website, that's their copy. If you are reading the book that somebody wrote, we don't tend to call that copy very often, but that's what it is. It's copy that somebody wrote. Okay, so it's the words that people write about your business. And then again, if you were to write a script for either a commercial or your podcast, the copy would be the words that you wrote down that you would then read or memorize for your ad or your podcast. I don't script these podcasts. I usually create bullet points, so I have a general sense of what I'm talking about and the point that I want you guys to take away. I'm just sharing that for those of you who are wondering whether I scripted them or not. But I know a couple people who script their podcasts and love it, and that brings them a lot of comfort and ease. And I will say, for the people that have mentioned that, I couldn't tell. So you really can script out your podcast, but still have it sound very conversational. So copy. How do you write good copy? What is good copy? Well, to me, good copy is words that get the person to do whatever you want them to do. Okay? So if they're reading words about toothpaste, you want the words that you wrote to be so compelling that the next time that they're at the store, they choose your toothpaste over the other kind of toothpaste. Okay? We often see the phrase compelling copy, and that's because copy should compel someone to do something. Okay? Now, it might be just to feel a certain feeling, right? So when someone writes a book, let's just say a fiction novel, they want you to feel a certain way. They want you to be entertained. So they may not want you to take a particular action. They're trying to compel you to have a feeling. And the words that they write, their hope is that they've written them in such a way that creates a feeling in you. They want you to be sad in the sad parts and inspired in the inspiring parts. And so good copy gets a person to feel or to do what you want them to do. Now, for those of you who followed my work and listened to me teach the model, you know that I teach that a thought in your brain leads to a feeling in your body. And then from that feeling, you take action, or sometimes you take inaction. You don't take action. So if you have the feeling of fear, you might then not make a phone call that you want to make. Okay, so feelings can create action or inaction. So knowing that, you can, as you sit down to write the words for your website, let's say, you can go through that process for your client, for the person who's going to be reading those. You can think, okay, what words do they need to read in order to have a particular thought that leads to a feeling that leads to the action that I want them to take. So let's say the action is signing up for your course. You can imagine that a person who lands on your sales page, they're curious, they're interested, right? They had a feeling that led to the action of them being on your sales page. So they did something in the world that landed them in front of your sales page. Okay? And they're going to start reading. And I want you to ask yourself, what feeling do you want them to have? Is it inspiration? Is it fear? A lot of people will say, talk about pain points so that someone is scared of their life not changing, their life being the same way. And then from fear, they will take action. Is that the experience that you want them to have? Or can you create a different feeling that leads to the action of them buying your course? Hope, inspiration. And this will also invite you to see how you buy things. Are you buying things from fear? Are you buying things from conviction? Are you praying about things and then feeling like, yes, God has called me to do this, to sign up for this? Maybe the action is go talk to your husband. And so thinking about what words need to be on my website, in this Instagram post, in a brochure that I create, that leads to the feeling of this person taking the action that I want them to take. And I think a lot of times we confuse good copy with someone who has a high technical skill of writing, which means they've been trained to write well, which means you know how to put the commas in the right place where the commas are supposed to go. Okay? So a lot of you think, I don't have training as a writer, and so I can't write compelling copy. But people tell me all the time that they love my emails. My emails are so entertaining that people will just reply to them and say, that was an amazing email. Because not all of my emails are selling something. Not all of my emails ask for a reply. And yet some people enjoy my emails so much that they just reply and say, that was an amazing email. But for those of you who get my emails, you know I don't always use complete sentences. There's a lot of emojis up in those emails. And sometimes there are typos. And no doubt there are either missing commas or commas that are in the wrong place. I don't consider myself a great technical writer, although God bless Grammarly, because that makes me a much better writer than I would be without Grammarly. If you don't have Grammarly, I would highly recommend grabbing that. It's not very much money, and it will help you write anything that you need to write in Google Docs or in your email, anywhere. But even without Grammarly, I consider myself a good storyteller. I consider myself someone who understands how people think and feel. And so when I write an email, I'm usually pulling people in with storytelling language, and I'm using words to create a feeling in them. Usually I'm trying to connect with people because almost everything I sell is something that I've struggled with or am currently struggling with, right? If you followed me for any amount of time, you just know that I just create products around, I had a problem and I solved it, or I am solving it and I'm sharing it with you. And that's true for most of you as well. And so you actually know what these people are thinking and feeling, and you can speak directly into their hearts. Right? For example, I got pregnant a lot of times in a short period of time. And so I know all of the thoughts and feelings that race through your mind when you're staring at that positive pregnancy test that you were not planning on seeing. And so I can list them. And my goal when I'm writing is for someone to go, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Because I'm trying to build trust with them so that they know the thing that I'm recommending is going to help them. If they think I really understand them, it increases the likelihood that they think that I could help them. And so usually that's the feeling that I'm going for, is hope. Also, usually some form of acceptance or compassion, like, hey, this is what you're thinking right now, and that's okay. And that's where you're at. I love you. And it's completely normal that you're thinking and feeling this right now. Of course you're thinking and feeling this right now. So I tend not to go in the marketing angle of rub your face in your pain points until you feel so terrible that you want to take action. That is legit a strategy, and you can do that. But I much prefer loving someone and meeting them where they're at and helping them feel compassion towards themselves, and then inviting them into a different story. Did you know that it's possible to not yell at your kids that much? Did you know it's possible to not feel overwhelmed by having to make food for 6 small children every day? Did you know that it's possible to plan your business out so that you know what you should be working on? Did you know that it's possible to run a business without having a meticulous plan? Maybe you need to be a little bit more free-spirited in your business. And so I think the words about your business are very important and very powerful. Now, I will say that when you're starting a business and you start to hear about this concept of words, you can end up putting a lot of pressure on yourself. And sometimes you might think that you need to hire someone to write the words for your business. And I love copywriters. Copywriters are so talented. But one of the most important things that a copywriter will do is they will help you get clear on what you're trying to say. And so they just ask you really great questions like, what kind of transformation does your product or service get for your client? And it forces you to think about that. And they'll say, what are some of the biggest pain points of your client? What are they thinking and feeling right now? After they work with you or buy your product, then what will they be thinking or feeling? What will their life look like afterwards? And so you can do that for yourself. You can ask yourself these questions to write better copy about your business. And I've hired a copywriter, and it was a positive experience, but also I realized that that person just kind of forced me to get really, really specific about something that I had kept being vague about in my mind. And so I was grateful for that. And it also just showed me, oh, hey, I can do that anytime I want. The other thing that copywriters do is they help things be clear to many people. And so if you're not in the position to hire a copywriter, I want you just to have one of your friends read your website or read the brochure or read an Instagram post. Maybe you've already put the post out there. Just ask one of your normal person friends to read through something and say, does that make sense? Is that confusing? So for me, in my line of work, I might say, hey, you should hire a Catholic business coach and I will help you do thought work. And you might think, what's thought work? Am I doing thought work? Do I need to be doing thought work? Is thought work Catholic? What does that mean? And so if you asked like an everyday person to read through whatever you want them to review, they're going to catch that for you. They're going to catch, oh, I don't understand what that means. And then you'll explain it to them. And then you'll realize, oh, I need to put those words I just used explaining what thought work is on my sales page, or I need to change that phrase so it's obvious. Do you spend a lot of time thinking very negative things about yourself instead of working? Are you sitting at your desk feeling so behind, but then actually not doing anything? I can show you exactly what to do to calm down, come back to peace, make a quick plan with the Lord, and get back to work. I can teach you how to speak kindly to yourself so that you are a cheerleader inside your mind instead of a mean and angry taskmaster. So see how I can explain that with completely normal language that creates a feeling and tells a story and draws you in, and you're like, yeah, I do want that. That's what compelling copy sounds like. So I wanted to make this episode to just kind of demystify what copywriting is and to help you know that to write really good copy, you need to get really clear on what you want your client to do and what it is that you do. Those are kind of the two things. So you're going to be explaining what you do, and you're going to be explaining it in such a way that compels them to take action. And like I said, not every piece of copy that I write requires them to do something. So if I'm writing an email and I'm just wanting them to experience a feeling of hope, they may open the email, read it, and feel hope, and that's what I wanted. And my goal was not that they click on something and register or buy something. So your goal for them can be just to have a feeling. But if it is to take an action, just know that actions are driven by feelings. So you'll want to ask yourself, what does a person need to feel in order to take this action? So I am going to be teaching an in-depth copywriting workshop in the Made for Business Society. And I have a lot of prompts and questions in this copywriting workbook that I put together. And I have some really fun exercises, including the journalist exercise in there that helps you to do what I talked about here, which is getting to know your client, really understanding your product and service and how it can help your client, and then being able to put that into language that compels them to take action. Then all month, in the month of July, I'm going to be reviewing copy for everyone. So I'll look at your sales page. I will look at an Instagram post and read the post that you wrote and give you feedback on that. Your emails, maybe an email sequence. We're just going to be words in July. And we're going to help each other because it's not just me who's giving feedback in this society. It's everyone helping each other to really get clear on what their messaging is and does it make sense. Making sure that we're not using any of those words that are very specific to our industry that we understand so well, but that other people may not understand, like thought work. So I want to invite you, if you want to improve your copywriting skills, the words you use to get your potential clients to take action, I want you to come join the Made for Business Society. I'm so excited to teach it and to read all of your amazing words in the month of July. All right, ladies, I love you. Get to work and have a blessed day.